Hi, folks. This is Sarah Marshall, your operations architect, and welcome back to the Value Delivery Spine series. This is our third episode, our third installment in the series. In the last installment, we talked about the Value Delivery Spine framework and all that it included. Now we're going to dive into a bit of the details, and we're starting with the first stage in the process, and that is setting the directional strategy. And as we walk through the directional strategy today, we're going to be discussing mostly the considerations that you need to think about as you're developing strategy, the things that it needs to address and consider. We're not going to be talking about how to build the strategy in this video. That's coming in a later video. So let's get started. What to think about. A strategy is a meta plan. If you've ever built and developed a project and delivered a project, you've built a plan to do it. Strategy is just a bigger, more giant, more robust version of that that has specific outcomes that we want to achieve as an organization. This means that we are pursuing some kind of opportunity that we believe is going to put the organization in a better place, and this meta plan, this strategy, is going to get us there. Building out these strategies is very resource intensive. It starts out with a ton of work from the leadership of the organization and specific experts to put it together. And then it's going to eventually encompass most of the folks in the organization. So it's a very big undertaking that drives even bigger undertakings down the line. And so there are high stakes riding on building it out. Typically, those high stakes are existential to the organization. We are selecting an opportunity that we believe will put us in a better place, that will take us to a place of thriving as an organization. If we're a business, that means that the revenue stream that we are targeting is coming in, and we are able to do more things with that revenue stream to build ourselves even bigger. Strategic considerations typically include a couple of big things. The vision. Where do we see the world that we're in and our part in it, and what are we building ourselves towards? What's that big future that we are trying to create with the work that we are doing as designed from this strategy? What big outcomes, what pieces of the vision are we trying to lay into place? The tangible pieces that we will ultimately deliver as an organization. These outcomes can be durable, they can last for years, and we are working towards those outcomes. And then finally, the strategy. How are we going to get there? What is that set of activities we're going to put in place in order to achieve those outcomes and reach out towards that vision? So it starts with an opportunity. We are looking out into our future. We are looking out to what our clients, our customers, the people that depend on us need. And we are making an existential bet for the organization that we are going to be able to reach out and capture that opportunity. Once we have defined that opportunity, then a gap opens up. And that gap is, how do we get there? We need to build our way to that opportunity. So the things that we need to deal with are the things that we are building that strategy around. There's a couple of key considerations. I'll go through them quickly on this slide, and then we'll dive into them. There's the context within which we are building the strategy, the big ecosystem. There's the challenges we're going to encounter along the way that we need to address. There are the performance standards against which we are trying to operate, both as an organization and in delivering what we need to deliver to make this happen. There's the structure, starting from the top down. What is the business model? How is the organization structure? What's inside the structure that we need to have in order to chase that opportunity? And finally, the resources. Let's dive into those, but what we are trying to do is understand the gap that we are experiencing between where we are today and where we need to be. First, the context. Context includes the socioeconomic climate, politics, regulatory environment. How is technology evolving? How are our client trends, desires, needs, what problems they need to solve evolving? and how do we need to build within this context to pursue the opportunity we've chosen to pursue. There are multiple industries that provide intelligence and information on this. We also have in-house folks that work on this stuff. This is certainly the world of marketing and sales to figure out what the competitive environment looks like. But this is a huge effort building out that context within which we are building our strategy. What are our challenges? What are our external challenges, the threats that we're seeing out there in our environment, and what are our internal challenges? What are our weaknesses that we need to deal with, or emerging problems that we need to address in order to be able to be on target for our strategy? What structures do we have in place, starting with the business model? Are we B2B, business to customer? Are we B2C, business to customer? B2B, business to business? Are we a marketplace doing handshakes between providers and purchasers? What kind of business model do we have in place? What kind of organization have we developed to deliver this? And what kind of infrastructure under that organization do we need to have in place in order to pursue that opportunity? What resources do we need? How many people do we need? Where do we need them? What kind of experience do they need to have? That human capital is one thing that we need to address. Also, how much money do we have? What's our budget for doing this work? How have we forecasted that spend and the revenues that we'll have to be able to cover this? What infrastructure do we need? What kind of roadmaps do we need to have in place in order to deliver the infrastructure that we have to have in order to pursue that opportunity? And finally, what kind of intelligence do we have at our fingertips to keep ourselves abreast of what's going on in the world? Finally, what performance do we need to operate at? That there's two levels of this. What operational metrics are we supporting? Is it speed? Is it capacity? What is it that we're looking at in terms of how our operations need to perform? And then how are we doing against our commitments? Are we delivering against the commitments we've made in this cycle in the way that we expected to, or do we need to do something different? Once we've figured out all these considerations for our strategy, we need to then next deal with that gap that we were talking about. We've identified the outcomes we're seeking to deliver on in pursuit of that opportunity. We've outlined the context within which we're operating, and we've defined our challenges, and we've defined what level how we need to be performing at. And we've identified the investments we need to provide. This gap is the gap between our original paradigm, our current strategy, our current business operations, our current infrastructure support, and a future state that we're trying to get to. This can be a very large leap, a radical change in our strategy because we're pursuing a radically new opportunity, and we need to drive the organization to a whole new level of operation. Or it could be very small and incremental. It could be just a slight adjustment on the strategy we had before, and we're working forward with minor changes to pursue the opportunity as it evolves. Regardless, it requires some level of transformation. If it's small, it's going to be a fairly low risk situation. If it's very large, it requires managing the organization through a large transformation, and those are fairly risky with a lot of risk involved with that work. Okay, so the summary is strategy is this big giant meta plan to bring the organization along to where we need it to go in pursuit of the opportunities that we've identified. The building strategy is resource intensive, requires intelligence and expertise. And when I say intelligence, I don't mean being smart. I mean intelligence. We need information about what's going on in our world. The stakes are high, usually existential, to build a strategy because it is such a costly effort to develop. And to develop a strategy, we need to get the lay of the land, including the context within which we're operating, the investments we need to deliver, and Once we are clear on all that, we are able to fill that gap. If you'd like to know more about strategy development, please read my article, Crafting a Living Strategy. You can find that on my website, my blog at www.operations-architect.com. Thank you.